The end point is the amount of money that they can save. Depending on how somebody sets it up, we're typically seeing, and it sounds outrageous, but this is the truth, between 25% to 45% reduction in costs. It's crazy. And it's
Wow.
just by learning and start utilizing systems, you know.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the AI Now Partners podcast, where we dive into real conversation with leaders driving innovation across the insurance and benefit space. I'm your host, JK Hattama, and today I'm excited to welcome someone whose work stands out in simplifying insurance delivery, navigating compliance, and making benefits more accessible. David Barton from Shenandoah Valley Group. Hey David, it's great to have you here. Thanks for being part of the series.
Hey, thanks, JK. Nice to be with you.
Perfect. And I'm just excited to learn a lot new things. And to start things off, can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background and how you got started in the insurance and compliance space?
Sure. Yeah. It's kind of interesting. Like everybody, I never dreamed that I was going to be in the insurance business, but I started off in the Air Force and I cut my teeth with doing troubleshooting top secret networks. Then I went and got my degree from Penn State in statistics and information systems with a minor in finance. So I'm a numbers guy. Became a programmer analyst, the whole 9 yards, went back, became an officer in the Air Force. But then I decided, well, maybe I need to start using my degree a little bit. And I started off by going into Northwestern Mutual and becoming a financial advisor with them. I really enjoyed that. And that's really where I learned how to do sales, great company. But then I kind of wanted to hang out my own shingle. So I started Shenandoah Valley Group about 2009. And I enjoy doing the self-funded marketplace as an advisor. I'm a troubleshooter. I like solving problems. And then probably about 2020, I started another company called WeWe.me. That's the IT side of the house. And what I do now is I combine the insurance with the IT, put it together. So it's a good marriage. It needs to be done in our industry. A statistic that I've seen in our industry that the insurance industry is about 17 years behind in technology. So hopefully we can start, bringing that up, with AI and so on. I'm hoping that we can start getting the years, that we're
Right.
behind be less and less. That's a real quick synopsis, Jay, how I came about and what I do now. So,
Perfect. Well, with that being said, with all the things, you started SVG back in 2009, and you started your another company, the WeWe company,
mhm.
back in 2021. So I'm curious, what does a typical day look like for you? Especially, as you juggle multiple things, especially offerings like OPEV, mitigation, insurance, and
Mhm.
employer analysis.
Yeah. So, I mean, I will tell you from 2009 to now, I mean, my days have completely changed. Primarily now, it was kind of interesting. When I first started, I would run 50 to 60,000 miles a year on my car, going out and seeing people and so on. And I thought that was kind of crazy. In about 2018, prior to COVID, I decided to actually go virtual. Everyone I talked to thought I was kind of crazy. And then I didn't know COVID was going to happen. But now, I looked like a genius, but that was just something I couldn't, but now on a typical day or a typical week, I'm on a Zoom meeting, 15 to 17 Zoom calls a day. Just to kind of tell you how this changed. I actually just built a new office, and instead of building the office to, I guess, and want people to actually come in and see me, I actually built a Zoom studio. So the lighting and everything, this is built primarily for doing these type of meetings. So yeah, it's just changed. I mean, in all the years. And I think you're going to see more and more of the technology side coming in with the AI and how we're doing things.
Right.
So yeah, I think I'm on the right track. We'll see. Time will tell. But that help
Right.
you,
And
JK?
then
Is that what you want? Yeah. Okay.
Yep, that's right. And I just want to, take a step back and look at the bigger picture regarding the industry itself. What major shifts have you seen in the insurance and benefit space over the past few years?
I would like to tell you that there's been a tremendous amount of change, but there
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been. And that's some of the frustration that the problem in our industry, and we might as well just hit it right now, is the lack of data. We have a very hard time of getting data. And as AI comes on board, some of the TPAs are starting to upgrade their systems and so on. The ability to get to that data is going to really change the industry, but we still are fighting getting that data. One of the last ones are going usually typically are the ones are the big four. We call them BUCAs, BUCA, Blue Cross Blue Shield, United, Cigna, Aetna. They're going to be probably
Mm-hmm.
one of the last ones to be able to get the data from. But when I'm talking data, that starts at enrollment, that goes to claims for the hospitals and doctors' offices, and the prescriptions, the PBM side, pharmacy benefit management. You have to put that all together to start getting an overall picture of what's going on inside the group. Once you have that data, then things can change. But until then, you're flying blind. So unfortunately, I'd like to say, we've seen some innovations come in, but
Mm-hmm.
until you're getting that data, you can't train the client on what those innovations are and really help out, and go through there. So does that help you, JK?
Yeah, for sure. That actually helps. And I'm just curious because I know you said that you do not really like see a lot of shifts in the industry, but right now with the things that you're doing for sure, like automation or compliance regulations, with those kinds of trends, how have those trends or healthcare reform impacted how SVG delivers its services?
Yeah. So on that end, what you're actually doing on that end, like, so let's take compliance, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That data is, I am going to get that data myself. That's why it has changed. If I have to rely on a third party administrator, a Blue Cross Blue Shield, United, Cigna, Aetna, that's where the frustration comes in. When we're doing compliance, so let's take this for example. I'm able to go out, and especially with AI has made the ability to get data. No, I shouldn't say get data, but take data and process it and be able to run those automations like you alluded to. Is,
Right.
if you understand what you're doing, it's like a kid in a candy store, because now I can take a client, take how many numbers they employ, take that number, go out and hit a database, bring back what that compliance is, not only from an ERISA standpoint, but also a state standpoint. And then we're getting it that if we can get into the local, we can pull that back. The idea is that when we get that back, then we take that data and we're going away from PDF documents. Now everything is put up in live time on dashboards. So when I get in and I start programming for a new client, I don't even show them PDF documents anymore. Everything is done on dashboards now. So it's fun. I mean, your clients like it because if we can get the data, now they can see stuff in live time.
Right.
Unlike the old ways of, oh, it's a quarter old, 2, 3 months old. No, now you're going to see it in a couple days old. Yeah, what I mean, if not live. So yeah,
That's
it's neat.
Yeah, that's actually right, especially with the PDF, even though it's a digital platform, digital,
Mhm.
thing that we use right now. It's now traditional because of how
Yep.
we, see data
Yep.
right now with the dashboard.
Yeah.
And I want to zoom in a bit and talk about what's happening on the ground. I want to ask, what's working well for your clients right now, and what are, their struggle with?
I would say that, oops, I'm sorry.
No
Sorry about
problem.
that. Yeah. People, that's what happens when you have VoIP. It will go over. So I apologize about that. No, what's actually happening now with clients, and this is what I would say the biggest stumbling block is educating clients, so HR, CFOs, CEOs, on to just vocabulary. And not only just the insurance vocabulary, but the IT vocabulary. So one of the biggest things that I have done is, and unfortunately, I still use PDF documents for this part of it. But when I get into a new client, I make sure that I give them the PDF documents on IT along with insurance. Because how do you have an intelligent conversation with somebody if they can't speak your vocabulary or at least understand
Right.
what you're talking about? So I kind of put myself as a coach. My job is to sit down and come in and educate you on what's out there. What can you do? And I always tell, one of the lines I use with every one of my clients, I said, think of me like a 401k advisor. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you got to be aggressive. I'm not sitting here telling you got to be conservative. I will tell you the pros and cons of doing each. And then it's my job, once you can tell me what you're trying to accomplish, to take that and translate that over into the insurance world or the IT world. So yeah, so it's a different way of looking at it. I want to make sure that I have no bias any which way. Some companies are way more aggressive. Some people are like, Dave, I don't care what you have to do. You got to get this cost down, whatever you can do. Okay, great. understand what that means. Boom. Hey, Dave, I don't want any pushback at all from my client or from my employees. Okay, great. This is what you can do. This is the pros and cons of that. And a lot of times we'll meet in the middle or something like that. But it's the idea of just educating people on what's out there. I do a lot in reference-based pricing. That's a totally new concept for people to understand that they don't have to rely on just your PPO networks, that you can do different things out there. But there's pros and cons to it. So I get in, and I would tell you probably 2/3 before I take a client on is just education, and the way that I have things set up. And I don't want people to make them sound like this is bad, but it doesn't matter to me how you set up your program. It's my job to take the program that you want set up and run it that way. Just like an investment advisor. The investment advisor doesn't matter if you are aggressive or conservative. All right. It's their job to come in and set the program up the way that you want it. Same thing with me. I always tell people I'm like a general contractor building a house. I'll have 7 or 8 different subs. I have the plumber, I have the electrician, underneath of me. You're going to give me kind of a blueprint. Then I take that blueprint and then go out to my subs and have them run it that way, or have them build the program to do that. Does that make sense, JK?
Yeah, that's totally make it sense. And actually, what is running in my mind right now is actually I hope every business owners or CEO is like you're not just on the success on getting the client, but also you want to make sure that they are educated with
Absolutely.
with the pros and cons, not just
Mhm.
making sure that you get them, but you make sure that they get the best out of the the investment that they are trying to accomplish. For me, measuring success is always a key in delivering results. So I want to I want to ask, what tools or metric do you rely on to track success for your clients or for SVG as a business?
Yeah. So one of the key factors that I use is, first of all, and it's kind of an internal factor. I like to see how the HR and the CFO and CEO, after I can sit here and talk to them blue in the face, but to see how well they understand and refer back to the vocabulary. The funny part is when I come in and do a renewal now, it is literally on a dashboard, which the renewals aren't even, it's kind of a non-event now, because you'll see throughout the year how you're doing and how you're tracking it, right?
Right.
The funny part is a renewal now for me is essentially one page to go over everything and then one other page kind of follow up to show you how stuff got broken out. That's it. So at the end of the day, people aren't coming back to me, Dave, you told me X. No, this is what's happening. This is how it gets broken out. What do we want to adjust? Is this working the way you want to? So we go from me selling you something to more of like an accountant, like a service. Okay. Is this running correctly? This is where, like, one of the metrics that we look at on the dashboard is how many different service tickets did we get? Where are those service tickets coming in at? Is it because people aren't reading their card? Is it they're actually having real problems with, hospitals or the, pharmacies or whatever that is? And then we start adjusting that. It's a give and take. You know what I mean? The idea that the more aggressive that you get with your checkbook, right, with the money
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to spend, the more pushback you're going to get sometimes, not always, but sometimes. So there, like I said, there's a give and take. We look at that. That's one of my big metrics too. I'm a firm believer that you have to have buy-in from top management, from the CEO down to the HR. We need to all understand what the program's going to do and then be able to look at it. If the HR is on board, but the CFO and CEO don't understand what we're doing, it never works out well, or vice versa. So I like to make sure that, again, you don't have to be the expert. That's what you have me here for, or somebody that I've partnered with, but at
Right.
least you need to understand what we're doing. That
Well,
help,
yeah,
JK?
for sure. And that insights really shows how you're staying focused on impact, and it all feeds into the bigger, vision for SVG. So I want to ask, what's ahead for SVG? What's your goal with the next 12 to 36 months?
Typically the where this is going is, and I didn't get into everything how we set up these programs and stuff like that, but I imagine that I'm probably going to be taking on 2 to 5 new groups every month. And it's, again, we can get into the IT world of how we're automating, The old days of doing this, that was a tremendous amount of groups to take on because of how you have to set this up. Now I have it built with the automations. I hit a button and then everything, and I kind of tell what we're going to do, hit a button, everything's spun up from tables to everything. So now it's just a matter of collecting data. And the funny part with the AIs, I send everything to one email account. AI goes in and reads it and puts it in where it needs to go. So, I mean, it's become easier and easier and easier. So I'm excited about where the industry is going, because what's going to actually happen is we're not going to get bogged down in what I call the monkey business anymore, collecting data, putting data here, so on. This allows people that are innovative to actually go out and conquer more problems for these groups. I'm a data guy. I love data. I bring it in. I segment it out. I mean, we can sit here and spend 2 hours just on how we do data management. Now probably put you to sleep, but it's important to understand that stuff, because once you have the data, then you can keep going farther and farther. Anybody that's been, not studying AI, but hears about it from Fox News or any of the news sources or so on, the new thing is data is king. It's always been king, but there's more of an emphasis on it now.
Right. And with any ambitious plan comes a few bumps in the road for sure. And speaking of problems or roadblock, if you could eliminate one roadblock right now with what you're doing with SVG and WeWe.me, what would it be?
I think one of the biggest roadblocks is, as we're getting more and more data coming in, this allows us to simplify the implementation and keep on going with the current clients on what they're doing. What I think is going to happen is you're going to see the self-insured marketplace keep going smaller and smaller, down to 2 employees, because we have the ability to automate so much. One of the biggest things that I see that is just education in general. Everybody's changing. Everybody's job description is changing. If you don't think HR is changing, you're crazy. If you don't think the CFOs are changing, they're going to have to start coming in and start understanding vocabulary with the IT world, and how to do stuff, because it translates no matter what you're doing. I just so happen to do it in the insurance business. Whether you're in finance or so on, you're going to have to understand IT technology. When I say to somebody an LLM, large language model, that's not going to be a foreign thing to them. Oh yeah, I understand that. Oh yeah, it's Chat GPT, Claude, whatever. They'll understand the vocabulary. Once you start getting that vocabulary down, then how some of the problems are going to go away. Now, new ones will arise, obviously, but some of your basic problems will go away. Does that help you, JK?
Yep, that definitely helps me with that question. Regarding, I'm just curious because I'm thinking, since you are in the IT and insurance world, which you are, trying to, work these two things work out together. In terms of acquiring new clients, are you in the traditional or organic way still of acquiring new clients, or you are already integrating,
Oh no,
IT?
no, it's totally changed. With the new generations want you to interact with them differently. So yeah, do we still get clients organically from other people and so on? Sure.
Referrals? Yep.
Referrals, right. Yeah, that's the old way of doing things. Now it is taking, like, one of the things I'm working on today is cold outreach, where we're going to start spinning up almost 1,500 emails a day. I know a lot of people get that, but with that mechanism, how do you start using AI in conjunction with that to not only personalize, but to really find, the points of interest, or, the hot points to help people out, right place at the right time. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a
Right.
lot of different things. And what you're going to see is the agencies that are up on speed with this, their secret sauce on how they do that is going to be changing from agency to agency. But yeah, it's definitely changed over the years. With the new generation, they don't want you to, and I hate to say this, actually talk to you. They want to be able to interact on the phone, or they want to be able, have that data right there. So yeah, it's changing. And I don't think there's a one size fits all. So you got to have it
Right,
all.
right. Right. It's not for, like what they're always saying. Things sometimes is not for everyone.
Right.
It's it's your perspective, how you see it. things like that. And yeah, actually, with that, with all the question, that's all the question that I have. But is there anything, since you are an educator, I'm curious, in terms of IT and you are in the insurance world, what is your, if there's one thing that you want us to learn, and business owners, CEO, HR, that you would like to learn from this world, what would it be?
I mean, a lot of it is, and I'll piggyback on this a little bit. It's education. With the way that we can do things now, we have to utilize AI in conjunction with videos and so on. Listen, at the end of the day, I just got onto this, not got onto this, but this is just something that's jumping out at me, is people don't want to read anymore. So we have to think of YouTube, think of TikTok, think of whatever. We have to be able to take that data and then spin that up into videos. There's technology coming now that I can I can use AI to develop a script, take that script, put it up in one of these platforms and spin a video up in less than 2 minutes. This is where this is going. You're going to hear me talk about, if you sit down with me, you're going to hear me talk about triggers. I always tell people there's two types of emails or two types of text. You have a generalized email that goes out for everyone. Then you have a
Right.
specific email for a certain thing. That's a trigger. So when a certain thing happens, what triggers that? When that gets triggered, what do we send out? Do we send out an email? Do we send out a text? And then at the same time, is it a customized video for that person? Oh, it's crazy. I have the ability now with AI to take the HR person, learn how they talk as far as communicate with their staff, and then take their tone and then mimic them sending out information out to the employees to basically help them get acclimated or get warmed up to somebody coming in for, let's say, a high-dollar drug, and helping them with that. So yeah, it's wild. And I mean, I think we're just basically scratching the surface right now, the old proverbial tip of the iceberg, where this is going to go. But it all goes back to, you got to have data. If you don't have the data, good luck. You know what I mean?
Right. And then I just hope everyone, would be able to, listen to you, watch you, who talks about these things. And speaking of, people reaching out to you or finding you, can you tell us where people can find you online?
Yeah. So basically, everyone knows me from Shenandoah Valley Group, and it's svg.agency. So www.svg.agency. And if you want something fun to look at, go to weewee.me, weewee.me. The Shenandoah Valley Group is the old stingent, hardcore insurance. The weewee.me is the fun side of the IT side of the house, getting to have some fun. So yeah, I built that website to, basically for people to enjoy and stuff like that. So yeah, go to svg.agency or weewee.me and you can get a hold of me.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks again, David, for sharing your time and perspective with us today. For sure, our audience and viewers learn a lot with the perspective and the, insightful conversation we had today. And yeah, we'll just go ahead and see you. And for sure, people will be curious about the things that you shared with AI and technology. So, yep,
Yeah. Hey, JK, real quick, and I might as well just put this out there too.
sure.
So what we're expecting now, and what I usually tell people is, once the systems come in and they're working, the end point is the amount of money that they can save. Depending on how somebody sets it up, we're typically seeing, and it sounds outrageous, but this is the truth, between 25% to 45% reduction in costs. It's crazy. And it's
Wow.
just by learning and start utilizing systems. It's there. You don't have to overspend. And in fact, your benefits usually get 100% better just by understanding a few things. So yeah, it's